Hi there, good afternoon. I'm Melissa Slaymaker. I'm from Women in Tech, and today I am so excited to be sharing our very first Talent Hub workshop with you based on CV writing. I hope you're all doing well. We are being broadcasted live today on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and via our Women in Tech events platform. So, for those of you that don't know about Women in Tech, I will share with you a little bit of information. But we are going to be running lots of these workshops throughout the next few months. So I hope you like what we're doing, and I look really forward to sharing some information and helpful information for you today. So I will be sharing with you a slide. There we go. So who is Women in Tech? So Women in Tech, we are a non-for-profit organization. We've got a huge global following and movement. Our website you can see is womenintech.org. So please join us and become a member. We have over 180,000 members already globally and over 26 chapters. So we are really all about empowering more women and girls. And just to share with you some impact stories over the last few years, we have had over 14,000 women and girls graduate from our educational programs. We've donated over 204 computers to rural areas, mostly in India and South Africa. In Zambia, we brought water to a village to help the girls there that was carrying water every day and not going to school. So now they're not missing out on school. We've connected over 1,700 mentors and mentees. And we are, as mentioned, we've got over 179,000 members globally and 26 chapters. Our mission is to empower 5 million women and girls by 2030. And with our 243 volunteers and 65 advisory board members, we are well on our way to reach that target. So, Talent Hub has been created by Women in Tech to help companies essentially to find diverse talent. We all know that there's still not enough women and girls in tech roles, in STEM roles, and we want to help companies to find talent and to retain talent. Through our Talent Hub, we also have D&I workshops. We can do full recruitment, we can do recruitment campaigns also for companies. It gives our members access to talent, to more jobs, so that they can see what skills are needed in companies or what jobs to potentially study towards. And it's a great platform for companies to get their brands out there, to find talent and to advertise. So if, oh, hang on, I see a problem with connecting audio. Let me see if I can fix something. Let's see. Sorry about that. I just realized that the people can't see anything. Hopefully we can fix that. Hopefully that's okay. But I'm going to continue. So why do we need a CV? So today's workshop is about CV writing. You always need a CV if you're applying for a new job, if you are applying for university, a scholarship or bursary, you're applying for promotion at work, but essentially, you may be changing a career or industry, but essentially what a CV enables you to do is to get that interview. It's the step in the process that you will need at the beginning to be noticed and to get an interview for hopefully your dream job, right? And a CV is essentially a document. It's a marketing document that I see as a flyer. It showcases your skills, your experiences. It tells companies why they should interview you essentially and what value you will add to their organization. So in a CV, you'd normally see qualifications, experience, skill sets, and also your achievements. And I will go through this in a bit more detail throughout this workshop. But that's essentially what you want to tell. You want to tell a company why they should hire you. You almost want to say in your profile, your CV, what do you want to be? Not just where you've been and what you've done and what you've qualified in, but also you want to almost tell the world and tell your future employer when they're reading your CV how you can add value to that business and why they should interview you. It also gives them a call to action. So you have your personal contact details on there so you can be reached. And believe it or not, I've seen so many people with great CVs and there's no contact details on there. So I'm thinking, how why do you have a CV there? Just please remember to add those contact details. So put yourself in a hiring manager's point of view. So they are very busy and normally short staffed, which is why they need to hire. So and then as soon as they put an advert out, they get hundreds of people and recruiters putting CVs in their inboxes. They've got very limited time to actually read hundreds and hundreds of CVs. It's not their prime role and really not fun for them to do usually. So you want to make it as easy for that hiring manager to see your skills and experience and to be able to very quickly ascertain whether or not they want to interview you. So CV needs structure, and I'll go through it with you briefly now. So other than profile, personal profile, and contact details, let's start here first. So first of all, your name and contact details should be very clear at the top. You only need to put your email address, contact your phone number, and the basic location, maybe town and country. You don't have to put your full address. No one's going to post anything to you. We're in 2022. So I think it's only basic contact details are needed, but you need at least your phone number and your email address on there, maybe your LinkedIn profile as well. On the profile piece, this is really where you want to show a little bit of your personality, tell them a little bit about your values and also your passion, and tell them how you are different and unique. So use this personal profile, make it personal, right? It's personal. So tell them a little bit about yourself, but keep it brief. You want to have your personal profile piece be between 1 or 2 paragraphs long, nothing more than that. Qualifications needs to be in the first quarter of your CV. This is what you want to showcase. Again, a hiring manager quickly wants to see, if they've got, a need for a qualified person, what your qualifications are. And it needs to be in reverse chronological order. So starting with your most highest or recent qualification and then working backwards. Then you need to have a skills section. The skills section will show, again, the employer what skills you have. These are soft skills, things like communication or management skills, stakeholder management skills, things like that. And also hard skills, specific skills, technology skills as well. And then straight onto your work experience. The work experience bit needs to start on your first page. And the reason for that is that the hiring manager can very quickly see where you're currently working or where your recent job is and what you've done. Normally, I would say go into detail. When I say detail, paragraph or bullet points for the last 3 big roles that you've had, or anything prior to 10 years. Maybe if you've got 20 years experience, anything that's a lot older than 10 years old, maybe just bullet points and keep it brief so that you don't have a very, very long CV. Let's have a look. The next one is achievements. So on the achievement section that is needed in your CV, this for me is almost the most important bit. Even if you just want to boast on achievements and leave the job skills and things, that's even better. You want to tell your employer what are the things that you did to go above and beyond. So, for example, another thing is to make it measurable. So, have you saved cost? Have you created any process efficiency, saving man hours? Or have you had great customer feedback and had 80% or 90% customer retention, or you've exceeded a sales target if you're in a sales role? Make it measurable, but really, this is very important. And I think not enough people put their achievements on their CVs because they don't always know, well, how do I articulate my achievements? I've done really well and I've had great feedback, but you need to really put that in your CV and make it measurable. Then I would always put an additional information section on your CV. This is also, these days, people want to be seen that what else are you doing outside of work? So do you perhaps have a blog? Have you won awards? Are you volunteering somewhere? Have you got any publications? Anything that you think will be relevant to a company or job that you're applying to. If you're applying to a company that is in the sports section, industry, and you know that you're at the sport play or if you've got awards, then add that in there. It's always very good to show your personality. So right now, I would like to also squash some myths. Myths are just things that I think are just rumors going around in the recruitment sector. And I would like to just, for once and for all, say what I think are myths in CV writing. So first of all, one myth is you need to have a one-page CV. So if you are a graduate, maybe you've got 1 or 2 years experience, a one-page CV is fine. If a company says, look, can you just put a one-pager together? Obviously, that's requested. But in general, you don't need to have a one-page CV. You want to try and have maybe 2 or 3 pages, ideally. If you've got 20 years of experience, and obviously you can maybe have 4 pages. But anything longer than that, it becomes very long-winded, and by the 5th page, people kind of get tired of reading. So any information on those back pages will be lost. And so I think it's important to have any important information on the front page and keep it to 2 to 3 pages if necessary. The next myth that you will be that I want to squash basically is that you need to add a lot of personal information on your CV. It actually isn't true. You don't have to add your date of birth, marital status, parental status, sexual orientation. All of this is actually a way of maybe being discriminated against. So you rather not have it on there because you want to be only judged on your skills, on your experience, qualifications. So you don't have to put any extra personal information on your CV, really just your contact details. I do see that there's a few comments coming through saying if the session will be recorded, and yes, it's being recorded, and we will make the link available to you afterwards. So going back to some myths, it also want to say another myth is that you need to have references on your CV. So I definitely want to squash that rumor. You don't need references on your CV. If you really want to make notes of it, you can say at the end that references available upon request. But you don't need to have references. People will ask you for references when it comes to interview stage or when it's necessary. And you never know if people contact your references without you knowing. So rather not put references on there. Another myth is that you need to add a photo. So photos on CVs, specifically in the STEM sector, is not needed. So if you're maybe an actor, a model, or a presenter, and you need to have a photo for your industry, then that's absolutely fine. But I've never had a client in any of my STEM companies that I've worked for where they've said that you need a photo. So that's really not necessary. You can add a link to your CV with your LinkedIn page with a photo. So that's what I would rather say. Another myth I'd like to squash is that you need to have a matrix or skills matrix on your CV. A skills matrix is basically just a waste of space, in my opinion. So it's basically where you rate your soft skills. It's It's basically where you rate your soft skills, saying my communication skills are 5 out of 5, or my technical skills are this. So these are self-assessed skills matrix. There's no credibility on it. It doesn't really look good, in my opinion, and I would just avoid that. Rather have a skills section, and you can say in your CV around, I'm an expert in this, or I've got so many years experience. That makes it a little bit better to judge rather than these skills matrices. That's just my opinion. So on the next one, I see that there's a lot of people from all over the globe commenting, so I'm glad that we've got a great international audience. So welcome everyone if you've just joined. The next section of the CV workshop is to really go through some do's and some don'ts. So I just want to give some advice on what you do need to do on your CV, and then also what not to do. So the first do I want to cover is how definitely, absolutely focus on the top quarter of your CV. If you're looking at, again, putting yourself in the hiring manager's shoes, and you're looking at so many CVs, the first 6 seconds, it takes on average, research has actually shown this, it takes on average the first 6 seconds for a hiring manager to make a decision whether or not they want to interview you or not. So you want to make sure that your profile, your qualifications section, your contact details, everything's neat, and that first top section looks absolutely as good as it can look. And because that's where the person's brain looks at first, and you will be basically judged on that section first. Always write your CV in reverse chronological order. I've said this before, so this is where you write with your most recent experience first, as well as in your education section. Start with your most recent qualifications first, and then work backwards. that really shows the more current experience that you have, and definitely shows how you can add value. The next bit of of what you should do when you're doing your CV is research. By research, I mean go and look at the job adverts, or look the type of jobs that you're looking at on LinkedIn or Indeed, and then look at the jobs where you can see certain keywords. These are words that are key to the job, and that will also be repeated throughout those job descriptions. So with the keywords, things like people management, or like I mentioned, stakeholder management, or if you're applying for a job where there's a certain technology, you're looking for a front end developer, so that if you if you see the certain keywords being repeated, and obviously it's true to your experience, make sure that those keywords are on your CV. We also see a lot of recruiters using ATS software tools. These are tools that help us to kind of sift through CVs and to find people on our existing databases. So for you to be found and not to miss out on any opportunities, make sure that you do use keywords, and you can research, what keywords are needed for the jobs that you're applying for. When you're also doing your CV, make sure that when you're using bold, caps, and italics, that they are used strategically. And what I mean by that is align them all to the left of the page to make your CV skimmable. It makes it easier for the reader. And at the end of the day, all we're doing here is creating an easy way for someone to say, yes, I want to interview this person. When you're putting down your communication skills, the next I want to just cover off is use a professional email address. I've again seen so many profiles of CVs where they maybe have a funny, unique email address, like susaneatsgrapes@gmail.com or something. And it looks a bit weird. Maybe it's okay, but sometimes you want to just have a real professional email address. So again, not having any discriminatory decisions made because of your email address. So use a professional email address. Again, when you're talking in your CV about achievements, another thing that I have mentioned before, but I want to reiterate it because it's so important, is make your CV, the achievement section, measurable, quantifiable, so that someone can read it and go, that makes sense to me, why this person will add value to my team. A few examples of this is I've managed a budget of £2 million over a period of 6 months, and I've exceeded our time frame by finishing a program or project in 2 weeks ahead of schedule. We saved so many manpower hours through improving process efficiency or transformation that we did to help a customer do something brilliant, and now the customer won an award. You can say something around retaining clients or achieving targets, but keep it measurable. Say percentages, numbers, and make it measurable. So that's very, very important. And where possible, use the STAR method. So if you don't know what the STAR method is, it's basically STAR is acronyms short for situation, task, action, and result. So when you put an achievement down, use the STAR method. So say what a situation was. So during lockdown, there was a situation that a client had to do something, and we struggled to get hold of the client. So we did something online, and what the result was. And obviously choose something with a positive result where you can show what value, again, you added to that team. Another one I want to say is use job titles that are market related. So in today's world, we see a lot of companies come up with job titles. So sometimes things like a consultant or an executive of some sort, or a VP of some sort. But actually, in the market-related world, you are an analyst or you are a developer. But in this company, you are a growth mentor or something. So just use job titles in your CV that is market related, but also is going to help you get where you want to be, not by lying or something, but by saying that, okay, in this company I'm called a consultant, but actually I'm a developer, so that you can just make it clear when people view your CV that your job titles are accurate and market related. And again, to enhance your CV, You can use URLs in your CV, so things where you've got a media profile, LinkedIn, a personal website, or a blog. I think those are very useful. So it adds another layer to your profile by adding those URLs. And another very important thing to discuss is if you've got any gaps in your CV, that's fine, but just explain it. So try and cover the gaps through saying, okay, this year I took a year off because I was traveling through France, lucky person, or I took some time off because I was looking after my family, or I was studying in this section, just to clear the gaps, because if someone views a CV without that background knowledge, they will immediately think that you are maybe sitting at home watching Netflix and not doing anything. So you want to make sure that those gaps are filled. You put in any summits or conferences you went through during that time, any volunteering work that you did, any consulting work that you did. So I see a lot of times there's some gaps in CV. So when we actually get to interview stage, we help people through filling those gaps, making sure that it's explained. And if you've taken some time off because of personal reasons or took a sabbatical, that's fine. Just put it in there so that people know. The other one, which is another do, is I just explained that one. That's all of it. Let's get on to the don'ts. So the don'ts I want to also explain to you about CV writing and start with the first one. Is very simple, but you would not believe how many people make spelling errors in their CV. So always do a spell check, or even get a second person, or someone just to overlook your CV and just to check if everything looks right. Because this immediately tells an employer that you have a very low attention to detail, you haven't got high quality of work, or maybe you're just not very professional. So please, that's the one thing, do not make spelling errors. The second one of don'ts for me today is also very simple. Is don't use fonts that are very difficult to read. I've seen some CVs where people try and be very creative and they want to be different and they use these strange fonts, but actually you're doing more harm than good. So stick to the usual. The most common probably is Arial, Verdana, Calibri, New Times Roman. Those are the kind of basic ones. So stick to the usual suspects, because you don't want to, make it difficult to read. So that's just something I thought was important. Another don't is, please keep your CV short and punchy. Use bullet points if you can't write in a very short or direct, punchy way. So it's fine to write in paragraphs if you get to the point, but if you're writing long paragraphs, and it actually is difficult to read sometimes. So keep it to bullet points. It really makes it easier to skim through. Remember, these hiring managers, they don't have a lot of time, so skimming is what they're going to be doing, and doing it through bullet points makes it much easier. Again, just on the length of the CV, I know this conversation, I've mentioned this before, so try not to have a CV longer than 3 or 4 pages. So when you come to 5 or 6 and you think, actually, can I actually shorten it? Can I add a few bullet points, or can I make some of these job descriptions a little bit shorter? And don't overcomplicate the design. I've seen a lot of CVs where it looks potentially like, this is maybe it's like a creative design role or something. But when you are looking at CVs that are very complicated with skills matrices and so many layers, and there's something going on the left of the page and something going on the right of the page, and there's some stuff going on in the corner of the page, your eyes jump around a lot, and you want to, again, make it skimmable so that someone can read very quickly, yes, this person looks good, yes or no. These fancy CVs actually do more harm than good. If I have one message to send to anyone about writing CVs, and you have to take one thing from today's workshop, is keep it simple. Just keep it simple, because doing all of these fancy things, it actually is not necessary, and it actually hinders the process for you. So for the next section, I just want to show you some example CVs that I thought was very good. So I've just wanted to show you why I think it's good as well. So first, this is a 2-page CV, first and second page. The first page here, you can see they've got a personal profile section, they've got an education section, and then they've got a technical skills section, which is great because you can actually see and skim through, and it's all aligned to the left. The contact details are short and brief. They've got a phone number, email address, and just location and country. Then straight onto work experience. Again, you want your first page to have your qualifications, your skill sets, your personal profile, and your work experience on there on the first page, almost like a personal flyer, marketing flyer, so that the person then wants to go to page 2 and 3 if it's that long. So definitely, try and do it this way. Then this person went on the second page onto certain projects. This could also be an achievement section. So projects or achievements. So this is where you give specific measurable examples of what you've done, delivered, went above and beyond, awards that you've won, things that you've created that you're proud of. And then there's another section on the CV where it's leadership and volunteering. So again, showing that this person isn't just going to work and then doing, but this kind of gives a fuller role of so they're volunteering as well, and they involved in lots of things. And there's some URL links at the bottom. So they've got a LinkedIn page, and they've also got their own personal website. So if you want to get creative, I would suggest do a website and do a link to that website. I think that's definitely one example of a good CV. Here are some good examples of one-page CVs. So again, I'm not saying don't have a one-page CV. I'm just saying you don't have to have a one-page CV. But if you have to have a one-page CV, these are 2 examples of CVs where they also get it right. So they've got, that top quarter page or top half, I would say, needs to have the most important skills. I prefer the one on the left actually than the one on the right. So the one on the left here, you can see that they've got their summary, skills section. And what I like about the skills sections is that's where you do the research. You look at what keywords are necessary, what do you want to have stand out, what's important to you, what you want to be, where you want to focus. And you can always update the skills section. You don't have to rewrite your CV. So when you have one of these CVs, it's kind of a CV for life. As you just update the skills sections, maybe update the summary, and then just add your last role. CV here on the left is a little bit less favorite, but I think it still does the job. It has everything on one page, but it almost looks a bit too busy. Again, there's too much going on the left, too much going on the right. But if you want a one-pager and you need a photo, like you're in an industry where photos are required, I think this is a good example of that. And again, here's another example of a CV. Oh, goodness, something popped up. Apologies about that. I don't know. There we go. So another example is we've got a CV here where you've got a personal profile section, a skills section. I would have liked to have seen the education section on here, but that's on the second page. But again, you can see that there's a job section here where the person, so straight onto the job. So the last 2 roles you can see very clearly is bullet pointed. And what I love about this CV is that you can see there's a separate section for achievements. So they have their work experience, a short few bullet points of what their job role requires, and then an achievement section. So again, highlighting those measurable achievements that you can say what you actually achieved in that role, how you went above and beyond, and how you can add value to your future employer. So again, I'm Melissa Slaymaker from the Talent Hub from Women in Tech. We've come to the end of our CV workshop. So I hope you enjoyed it. I will make the link available for those who want to follow up on my great tips, the myths, the do's and don'ts. And if you do want any help with your CV, you can reach out to me on melissa@women-in-tech.org or melissa@womenintech.org. I'll put my email address on the link. And please feel free to reach out. And that's the end of the session today. So before I go off, I will just see if they've got any questions and see if anyone has any questions for me before I shoot off. Just see lots of people from all over the world commenting and clicking on a few links. That's fine. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Thank you, everyone. That's it for me.